Mishpatim, this Shabbat that is coming, and very interesting. We're culminating the period of Shovavim. Now, it's actually interesting. The acronym for Shovavim actually has the first letter of each word of the first 6 parashot in the book of Exodus, in the book of Shemot. And what does that stand for? There's Shemot, naturally. There's Va'era, there's Bo, Beshalach, Yitro, and Mishpatim. So if you take each of these letters, it equals the word Shovavim. So what does Shovavim mean? We know, obviously, it's based on a specific verse. That's wayward, Shovavim, son's return, which is actually featured in the 3rd chapter of the book of Jeremiah, which is very much part of the Torah, Nevi'im, and Ketuvim. And it's pointed out that in these readings, the children of Israel were redeemed from Egypt. And so too, if we repent, we can also experience our own redemption. The first of these readings are indeed concerned with the Exodus from Egypt. And even the reading of Yitro, last week's Parsha, where we received the Torah from Mount Sinai, from Har Sinai itself, the very reason why we were redeemed, we see about. But what does the section of Mishpatim, this week's Parsha, discussing, let's say, the laws and ordinances, have to do with the Exodus from Egypt? And more so, our own, let's say, personal teshuvah and redemption over here. Now, I think there's a famous story actually encapsulates this. One time, there was many years ago, a man claimed to have discovered, let's say, a lost tractate of the Gemara, of the Talmud. He took this manuscript to many Rabbonim and great Torah luminaries who, let's say, authenticated it. But when he took it to the Torah leader of that door, of that generation, he happened to be the Rugid Shuva Gaon of Dvinsk, the genius of Dvinsk. He dismissed it as a forgery. When questioned as how he could be so sure, he replied, there is a rule that in every chapter of every tractate in the Talmud, in the Gemara, we are introduced to a new character. But in this forgery, that was not the case. The only way to truly reach, let's say, our spiritual targets, our goals, is to keep the klalim, the rules. Anything else is merely a forgery. Indeed, the very word hamishpatim, the ordinances, shares the same numerical value as the word pdus over here, which means pdut, to mean redemption. The laws connect us to God. They pave the way for our future. And so we can only experience a true redemption when we observe these ordinances, mishpatim. Even alluded to the verse, these are the ordinances that you shall place before you. It is through observing these laws that we pave the way forwards for our redemption. I thought that's a beautiful idea, actually, that's actually pointed out. We use the Baal Haturim for that. That was actually taken from Rabbi Daniel Lehman. Now, because there were 2 tablets of Torah given at Yitro in last week's Parsha, which obviously branches out to the, let's say, the 613 mitzvot and to many of the ordinances, I thought I will actually do a second, let's just say, Dvar Torah connected to this week's Parsha, just to, let's say, encapsulate it in of itself, just symbolizing these 2 tablets of stone. That's very much, you can say, over here. Now, another nice, interesting, cute idea I actually read about, and using these different Dvar Torahs here from the famous Short Vort website. So I would very much recommend everyone to actually read that and to learn about it. There's an idea over here that says that, let's say, because we're talking all about ordinances and scenarios, which many of these are encapsulated, let's just say, in the tractates, especially in the Babas, particularly Baba Kama, Baba Mitzia, and Baba Batra. Let's say a thief is discovered while tunneling in somewhere, and he is going to be struck and is going to die. There is no blood guilt on his account. If the sun shone upon him, there is blood guilt on his account. And we see this in chapter 22, verses 1 and 2 in Parshat Shemot. Now, let's say a scenario over here, taking this from Rav Jonathan Guttentag. Let's imagine it's in the middle of the night, 2 a.m, and someone hears someone downstairs. What can the individual do? Press the bedside panic button? Most sensibly. But what happens if one wants to pick up an implement and proceed downstairs? Is the law on that person's side when acting in self-defense? Or what is it? Is it really this person's house and he can do what he wants? Let's say over here, the householder it's going to be in a dilemma, and it's highlighted in a famous case, I believe, that happened some years back. When someone named Tony Martin was imprisoned for shooting an intruder in the back. That ruling seemed to be slanted in favour of the housebreaker. And I think the British government would clarify a confusion over here at a later stage in time. They issued guidelines which restore the balance by affirming that householders can attack and even kill intruders in their home. Only if they act in revenge or set a trap do householders risk prosecution. So what does the Jewish law say over here? They go like this. Now, a Jewish law-abiding man, halakhic man, is his home his? Is it like his place to do what he wants? There's an examination of the Chumash source in our Torah portion this week indicates that the civil law contains echoes of the Torah itself. The verse, as clarified, I think if you look at various different commentaries within regards to Chumash, they address two situations. The verse, if the thief is discovered tunneling in and he is struck and dies, there is no blood guilt on his account. This, let's just say, the phrase gives permission to the householder to defend himself, even at the cost of the intruder's life. This is based on the Jewish law principle of something called a rodef, a pursuer, which directs that if someone comes to kill someone, what that person can act first and then kill the person. The housebreaker is automatically considered a pursuer. The rationale for a householder having the, let's say, right of self-defense is articulated by the great Rabbi Rava in Masechet Sanhedrin on page 72 on Amud Aleph. Since it is obvious that a householder will fight to protect his property, it may be assumed that the thief is ready to overpower him and kill him if need be. There's a second verse, however, which, let's say, limits the householder's permission to attack an intruder. An allegorical verse. If the sun shone upon him, there is blood guilt on his account, which over here means if it is as clear as daylight that the intruder intends no harm, then there would be permission to actually, let's say, eliminate him. This teaches that where it is clear that the intruder does not intend to kill or even to cause injury, then the householder has no license to actually eliminate, since this is no longer a matter of self-defense. There's an example of such clarity would be if a father, God forbid, is going to break into his son's house. In such a case, the parent is clearly, obviously there. He's not got intention to eliminate over there. In the regular case, however, faced with an unknown intruder, Jewish law would be fully behind the attempts of the householder to defend himself. But to what extent, and there's permission to the intruder, let's say this would not extend, however, to permission to, let's say, shoot the intruder in the back as he made his escape over there at that point in time, if it's apparent over there. So that's very, very interesting. And you know what? As a special treat over here, we're going to give over another third idea from this, just as a bonus for all us to get ourselves into the swing for Shabbat, because the Shabbat is coming soon. Now, one thing that we can point out over here, there's a verse that says, "Ve'elah Mishpatim asher totzim lifnehem." These are the laws that you shall present before them, which you see very much in chapter 21, verse number 1. Now, there's a great Baal HaTurim. He says that this verse alludes to a 5, let's say, point instruction as how a judge should conduct himself when in court. We know all about the laws of courts and court and order in this parsha. We also recommend everyone to look at Parshat Shoftim in the book of Devarim within regards to that. Now, the Baal HaTurim uses the first letter of each word in the above verse as follows. Ve'ileh. What is this? A Vav, Aleph, Lamed, Hey, and V'chayav Adam Lachkor Hadin. A man is required to investigate the case. Now, Hamishpatim, what is that? That's a Hey, that's a Mem, that's a Shin, a Pei, a Tet, a Yud, and a Mem. Hadayan Mitzuveh Shiyaseh Peshara terem yaseh mishpat. The judge is obliged to find a middle ground before imposing a rule. And furthermore, the word asher, what is that? That's an aleph, a shin, and a resh. Im shnehem rotzim. What does that transliterate to? If both parties are willing to compromise. Then the word tosim. This is a tough, a shin, a yud, and a mem. Tishma shnehem yachad medabrim. Listen to both parties together speak. And then the last word over here, lifnehem. What that is the what letters comprising this? It's a lamed, a pei, a nun, a yud, a hey, and a mem over here, and that is lo pnei nadiv yehader hitnaker mehem. Do not show favor to the wealthy man. Keep away from them. So I thought this was a very beautiful last idea, actually taken from Rabbi Benjamin Rose. Also took these three very, very cute Devar Torahs over here from the famous Short Thought websites, which have, let's just say, outstanding articles within regards to the weekly Torah portion, which I very much recommend everyone to look at. And everyone, if you tuned in live at a moment for our idea, please don't forget to subscribe to our community and to our channel at the moment. And we do videos every single week here on the weekly Torah portion, and I very much recommend everyone to educate, to grow, and to learn more, and to get very much inspired over here. And on this note, I want to wish you all a lovely day. Shabbat Shalom Mavarach, and take care. And thanks for watching. And watch over also the previous ones. This is a fourth Parsha idea we've given as a feature on the Parshat Shuvah, Parshat Shemot, because we've been recording this now for 3.5 years here on this community. So another beautiful idea to give away, to take it over. Just one thing to remember: take this as Shabbat table and inspire, use your own ideas, and bring it obviously from the Torah, and learn as much as you can. Grab those extra minutes, and everyone, make sure you all have a Shabbat Shalom Muvarach, and take care. On this community over here, we have plenty of content. We record videos here on the weekly Torah portion. We are like an online encyclopedia, exploring great rabbis of yesteryear from all over various different countries. We're exploring different countries that within regards to the Jewish history, within regards to, we do tours all over Israel, friends, over here. We like to go to all fun places, archaeological places, especially in Jerusalem, in Bet Shemesh. And we have a great rabbi here of present day that gives us a burst of inspiration to keep us energetic for the whole day. So wishing you well, and a Shabbat Shalom. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thank you.